great. Yeah, perfect. Great stuff. Yeah, so thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction. Thank you, Monsoon, for organizing the event today. So my name is Marc Wiseler. I look after the solutions consulting team at Magento. So our role on kind of a day-to-day basis is to work with existing customers and potential new customers, show them the product, demo the product, go into some of the integration questions. But today I have a little bit of a different story, a little bit of a different piece of the story to talk about. So I've been at Magento for 7 years. We joined, we obviously joined Adobe about a year ago or so, and on the B2B side, I do a little bit of ordering. So I order the odd thing here and there in my professional life. Obviously, on the B2C side, completely addict to online shopping. So a lot more experience on that side from a personal perspective. But from a work perspective, I've been working with businesses in the B2B sector, and I hate saying B2B sector because it's not one sector, it's lots of sectors. But I've been working with what we call B2B businesses for quite a while. And even though we're an online company and we're online and e-commerce company, a lot of what we do is still face-to-face. So people and meeting people and events like this are very important to us. So since we joined Adobe last summer, we've really discovered that it is the company that's been at the core of building digital experiences since 1982. At Adobe, we look at the full sales cycle. We look at the awareness piece. We look at the considerations piece. So when people are analyzing the products and services that they might buy, we obviously look at the purchase piece, and that's the big part of where Magento comes in. And then there's a big post-purchase renewal and bringing that customer back to you over and over again piece as well that Adobe would play a very, very big and important role in. And I'm sure you've been asked to do this quite a few times, but try and imagine the experience that you have in that traditional B2C environment. And I'll take an example from my own life from literally 2 days ago. I was looking for a second Mac charger for my work laptop. And I know how I do this in my personal life. I go into apple.ie, right? Very simple. I click on the search box at the top. I type in charger. So you can see all I did is type in charger. It recognizes I'm looking for a charger. It's asking me what kind of charger you're looking for. I have all those devices, but I like the Mac charger. So I click on that. I scroll down to the second line. It shows me the Mac charger. No problem at all. I add it to the cart, or click on the product, add it to the cart. Super simple, very nice, very slick experience, very easy to buy. Now, unlucky for me, I wasn't trying to buy this for myself, but I had to use the Adobe systems to buy this product because it's for my work life. So I'll show you what that looks like when I do that on the B2C side. So I'll go into our internal buyer IT purchasing portal. That's what it looks like. So you can see no pictures. Doesn't look terrible, but it's definitely not the same kind of first experience that you get. So I went in, I put in a little bit more descriptive word. I put in Apple charger. Like, great, no results. All right. Maybe they're not called Apple chargers. Maybe they're called Mac chargers. So that was my second search. Nah, no results. No luck for me. Try it again. Let's just search for chargers. Maybe something from Dell will come up with a USB-C charger. Nope, still not. I'm like getting frustrated at this stage. Back to the home page. I'm like, let me browse the menus. So I look at the top, home procurement catalog. I'm like, all right, that's not what I'm used to. So I keep looking, look on the left, a few more categories. I'm like, this is going to be too complicated trying to browse through. So my last search attempt, I just put in Apple, see if anything comes up. I'm like, oh, hooray, search results. So at least the search is working. So I scroll down, I keep scrolling down, and I finally find my issue. It's called a power adapter. I did not know this. So now I'm like at the step that I'm at now, I'm like, right, okay, it's called a power adapter. Let me redo the search. Apple power adapter, here we go. Finally, I'm at what I'm looking for. And this journey, I did not have a choice but to buy on this platform. And this, I don't know who designs this platform. It's definitely not Magento, so don't think that. But it's obviously some kind of an Ariba procure-to-pay traditional B2B system. And this is what a lot of customers in the B2B world have to go through to find something. And sometimes that's okay because they don't have another choice and they have to buy via this portal. But if they have a choice, they will not buy on a platform like this. They will go and buy somewhere else. They will go and buy on Apple. They will go and buy on Amazon. They'll go and buy in a third party, another vendor. So I think that's what we're battling, right? That customer experience is what we're trying to solve. And luckily, there was an online portal here for me to buy. But a lot of customers I work with, they're working with triplicate order forms, where it's the white page, the pink page, and the green page, and the pen writes through the 3 pages, and you keep the pink slip, and the green slip goes to finance. And the systems work, but there is definitely a better way of doing this. So changing tact a little bit and kind of taking a very high-level view. And one thing I realized that's incorrect in the slide is that the Industrial Revolution definitely didn't end in 1970. So don't look at that part, but for the rest, obviously, that was the first revolution per se. Looking at the digital revolution kind of from the 70s to the 90s, the information age, and today very clearly we're in the age of the consumer. And there's 2 trends that from a very high level perspective we're looking at. One trend is that single channel to multi-channel to omni-channel piece that we're looking at, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And the second piece is that the power and the information power goes from corporation and companies to the consumer. And picking up on something that Brad said, customers come into the buying cycle much, much later. They've already done 60, 70% of the research before you get to speak to them. That was very different 5, 10, even 15 years ago. So that's something to keep in mind as we're going through today. So just a quote I really liked. So welcome to a new area of marketing and service in which your brand is defined by those who experience it. And it's all about that experience. And it's like, how do we experience the brand? And the online experience is a very, very important, big part of that brand, and often the first interaction that a customer will have an experience with the brand. So kind of going back to my previous example, the consumer will move to wherever the experience is the best. And we're often moving away from price being the main differentiator. We're moving away from sometimes even the product being the main differentiator. So you can win with an inferior product if you've got a better experience. And that's quite crucial. But building that experience and providing the customers with that good experience is difficult. There's a lot of work to do. The bad thing is customers don't care. They don't care if it's difficult. They don't care how many incompatible systems you have. They really don't care how hard it is to integrate the complex solutions. And they will compare your sites or anybody's site really, if that's B2B or B2C, they will compare that with the best experiences that they have had. They will not compare that to your competitor's experience. If the competitor has a bad experience, good for you, but they're not going to compare it to that. They're going to compare it to the best experiences that they've had in their personal life or their professional life. So, and just to follow up on that, 8 out of 10 professional buyers, so B2B purchasers, agree, and expect a consumer-grade digital experience when they're doing their B2B purchases. So, thinking back to the apple chart I was trying to buy, that was clearly not the case. So that's a little bit of kind of the introduction to where we're going with today. So what we've done at the end of last year, we commissioned WBR to conduct a study of manufacturers and distributors across Europe. We spoke to about 100 or so CTOs, CIOs, CEOs, just to get their input on the state of B2B e-commerce. And we've took some of those findings and together with findings from the Forrester report about what it takes to be a leader in B2B e-commerce, I put together some of the main statistics. The first that was a little bit of a shock, but also a huge opportunity for Magento, is that only 34% of websites of those 100 people that we interviewed were actually transactional. So a lot of businesses are still not transacting online, and some of them have absolutely no plans to ever transact online. Doesn't mean they don't need a good customer experience. It just means that they're not planning to sell directly to their end customers. That might be because they have a distribution model. That might be because they work with resellers. It might be because of legal reasons they're not allowed to, and you have to physically go into a store. And something Paul might bring up in a bit. So there is a range of reasons for that. But yeah, quite an interesting stat. And there was looking at the rest of them. So why are they not online? And what are the main issues of actually going online and doing a good, building a good site? Five main issues that we discovered. The first one is that the integration issues. So it's integration issues around the e-commerce platform and the e-commerce website with the systems that already exist. You can see some of the other issues on the right-hand side. But yeah, 59% of the people we spoke to had difficulties with integration. And so still sticking with that first issue, also over 50% admitted that they are having difficulties to find partners that can help them with the integration, because it's not something businesses should do by themselves. We as Magento and Adobe absolutely agree. It's very difficult to do integration, and it's sometimes even more difficult to find the right partner. And that's why from the start, Magento has built on a very big and large ecosystem of partners. If you go back to the history of Magento from the very, very first version that we launched about 10 years ago, we've always been working with partner systems, and Monsoon is a great example of one of those experts that we like to bring in to solve that issue of integration and to solve specifically this issue, and having in our own ecosystem the right partners to do integrations with. So that's kind of the first issue. The second issue is legacy systems, and while it's linked to integration, it's often a different thing. Even modern systems can be difficult to integrate with. Legacy systems, on the other hand, that's an issue when we see customers. I don't want to say refusing, but having difficulties moving on and updating old systems and trying to build e-commerce on top of an ERP system, for example, or doing modern omni-channel order management where you can do pick up in store and ship from store on an ERP system that was never designed to do that. So that's the second big issue we find. So use the system for what they were built to do, and if needed, you got to upgrade. And I'm great we have the guys here. So ERP and CRM are really good examples of that. Those systems we need to play with, and if they're old legacy systems, sometimes that just makes it very, very difficult. The third issue is siloed organizations. I'm not talking about systems here, I'm talking about people. So we've got sales, and they're responsible for selling. So they see the website as a competitor. We've got marketing, and they're responsible for marketing. So they want to take charge of digital marketing as well. We have people in product management and maybe engineering. They're responsible for products, and they want to control product information. Now those three, they're just three of many silos that you'll have in some of the large organizations. They all need to work together to make e-commerce a success, and that can be very difficult when they're when they all have their own targets, their own KPIs, their own political games that might have to be played. So yeah, a big challenge. The only really thing that we found that works is to have and the businesses that are successful have an e-commerce function that works across the different silos, and that works across the different areas of the business. So that's a very big one and a very big challenge for the people that we spoke to. And then the fourth one, the second last one, is marketplaces. So again, one of the stats that came out of those 100 CEOs and CTOs and CIOs we interviewed is that marketplaces are a big challenge. 57% feel it's a major challenge to remain competitive, and I think it was just over 20 said it was a minor challenge. So it's still roughly 80% that say marketplaces are a challenge of some form. On that, I feel like we have a big opportunity, because going back to my Mac charger, definitely better than what I had in my internal systems, but we're still not there. The experience isn't necessarily where it should be. So again, I search for my Mac charger, I get some ads here for, I don't even know what those things are. USB-C to HDMI adapters. I don't know what that has to do with Mac charger, but clearly somebody's paying a lot to get that ad in there. I have the two first results, and this actually goes down. I don't recognize that brand, I don't recognize that brand. Price is good, right? If you remember, the price of the Mac charger was €85. I was like, well, that's interesting. It's actually not the right charger though, you know? It's not the right charger for me. I don't know how Apple knew to show me USB-C charger first. I wasn't logged in, but I'm sure they have ways of knowing. Amazon should know, and you can see it says hello Marc here, so I'm actually logged in. They should know I have that Apple laptop because I bought that Apple laptop actually from them. Or I bought the same laptop I have for work from home, so they should know. So the experience is not great, that's what I'm trying to get to. So we still have a way of competing with these marketplaces because there's so much on there that it's very difficult for them to offer the same experience. And when we think about, yes, it's cheaper, but we're not necessarily wanting to compete on price. We're wanting to compete on the customer experience. We're wanting to compete, not on price, but on the experience. So we still have a good opportunity here to win. And then moving on to the fifth challenge, and this is really where where things get a little bit more difficult and where there's no plug for Magento in here, then maybe a little bit on this slide, because we do all these features, and I'll leave it at that for today. But this is where the difficulty comes in then, right? So giving a good customer experience means that you need to offer a whole lot of features. You know, you really need to have the ability to do live chat. 8% of the 100 people we spoke to, that's just not enough. Ability to do consumer reviews, that's crucial. People always look at the reviews. I always look at the reviews. 10%, that's not enough. Stock checking, when we're talking about omni-channel, when we're talking about customers wanting things now, customers being used to checking the stock, going in the store 20 minutes later and picking up the pair of trainers that you want. Those features just need to be available, and it is difficult to deliver them. Because if you think about it, each of these is also an integration, right? Live chat is usually an integration. Stock checking, there's definitely integration into stock systems. Multiple payment methods, well, you've got to integrate with them. Something like dedicated customer service support, I mean, it's great that exists, but it should be 100%. Who doesn't have dedicated customer service number for online orders? So the last feature kind of is really the last challenge is to bring those features in and finding a software that will help you do that. But there is a massive opportunity. So as we say, only 34% had a website that actually transacted. Yet 67% of the purchases in what we call it here manufacturing and pick and pack and ship, but that means physical products, were influenced by digital. So a huge amount of purchases are influenced by digital, and I think you had the slightly different stat there because it was involving a slightly larger amount of products, but across the board, no matter what segment of products, no matter what industry you look at, a huge amount of the purchases are influenced by the digital channel. So huge opportunity there for us to come in and actually make an impact. And look, we're a software company, right? So we understand that software can do a lot. Software is great, but software doesn't change people. In the B2C world, it's a little easier because we don't have necessarily as much change to do. But we very well understand that, yes, we've got great B2B e-commerce online software. We're still talking about digital transformation here. We're talking about convincing sales that the website is not a competitor, but the website is a tool for the sales staff to use to be more influential and more dedicated to their job. And that's digital transformation, and that's organizational change. We as a software company can talk about this all we want. It's still you as businesses that have to go through that. And I think that's, once again, where we bring in our partners that are pretty experienced at that digital transformation piece as well. So sometimes it's easy to stand up here and say, look, this is all the things we need to do. What I'm trying to say is we absolutely understand that there is more than just software that goes into a big project like this. So I've four quick slides left, so 4 quick tips, just on if it's the first time you're going online with B2B, if you're trying to evolve, 4 things to keep in mind. So absolutely focus on customer experience. You need to have the ability to anticipate the needs, but also the ability to personalize the website, to personalize the experience, both offline as well as online, to a certain extent. Customer journey mapping is a great tool to do that. So really looking at the different customer journeys. And clearly when you look at, again, going back to that Mac charger, if you'd gone to the customer journey there, you would have very clearly discovered that there is an issue. So that customer journey mapping is a good one. But yeah, focus on customer experience. The second one is something I talked about before. Make sure that you build up a full business case. Everybody wants to go online, and it's great to say that, but there's a lot of difficulties involved. There's a lot of budgets involved. There is that organizational change involved that we talked about. So you need to build a real business case, and you need to push as much as you can for that dedicated e-commerce department or the e-commerce area that has dedicated budgets and that has cross-functional power to influence change. It's difficult to do real B2B e-commerce without that. So and that leads down to customer-centric strategy. So integrations we talked about already. Do this from the very, very start. Identify the systems that you need to integrate with, and consider re-platforming and upgrading them if they're not up to the job. My sales guys are not going to like me saying that, because they'd like to get on with the e-commerce project, but sometimes you're going to have to do an ERP project first. Sometimes you're going to have to do product information management system first. Sometimes you're going to have to upgrade your financial systems before you're ready to do proper e-commerce. So, identify and prioritize the systems that you need to work with. One that we sell, the Magento Commerce, it's one of those, but there's many other systems around. So that needs to be part of the plan from the very, very start. And then the last piece, strongly recommend that you use a single platform if you're doing B2B and B2C. It just makes things so much easier. It's one system to integrate with. It's one set of APIs. It's one set of financial systems. And again, the experience cross-pollinates as well. So if you've got a good B2C experience already, delivering a B2B experience that's up to scratch is much easier once it's on a single platform. And that's kind of the official part of the presentation. I'm definitely open to questions. Or we can just move on and take questions later, whichever. What's the?
One question.
Yeah.
On the business cases that you tend to see,
Yeah.
do they tend to focus more on the cost-saving side or on the revenue side?
It depends. The cost-saving side, it's a little bit more difficult because there's only so much cost you can save. So we always try and bring in the revenue side, and not just looking at additional revenue generated purely on the website, but also looking at things like, well, look, your sales reps, if they're out and they're selling to customers, if the main thing that they're doing is filling out order forms and faxing them back, let's make them more efficient. Let's see, can we free them up to actually go and find new customers and have them order on the website? So we bring in a lot more than just the cost savings as much as we can. But cost savings themselves can be interesting. So it's cost savings, it's potential new revenue generated through the website, and then a big one is opportunity cost of whose time are you freeing up to do more efficient things. Yeah.
And in your experience from business to business, the cost of ordering through the website, or
Sorry.
Is it your experience in the customer or in the suppliers that you're working with,
Yeah.
that the cost per order tends to be lower or higher or the same as offline?
Generally lower, but it's not a stat that we would put a lot of weight into. I think it's increasing them, but the cost per order is generally lower because you don't have that phone interaction that's necessarily needed. You don't have that sales visit that's needed. So yeah,
Okay.
But it's not something I would have precise stats on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? No? Good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.